long time I'm in front of you. Of course, I'm in front of our PMS customer, but somehow slots were not available for me to come in front of you. Fortunately, today I have a slots in front of you, and hence we are doing a Q&A with Sunil Damania. Let me also tell you that we have another webinar, Equity Outlook lineup for Monday, same time 7 p.m. So you can register for that also. But before I begin my webinar, a small disclaimer because I have a lot of data to discuss, so I don't want to waste most of your time. This webinar is just to enhance your understanding about the equity market. It's only for the education purpose. Please consult your financial advisor before buying, selling any stock. Investment in securities market are subject to market risk. Please read the offer documents carefully. Now, let me start with the most pertinent issue: why US has issued punitive action against India. भाई मैंने क्या गलत किया? Kind of a question that India should rightly ask, and I'll show you some data which are hard facts. And I wish Mr. Trump listened to this webinar, and anyone who is listening to this webinar, if they have some connect in the White House, please send this webinar link to him and please ask him to listen to this webinar very carefully. The data I'm going to show you, sometimes even I wonder why there is an additional 25% tariff on India. And then someone say it is not Putin's war, it is Modi's war or India's war. I personally feel that there is some personal vendetta seems to be against India, and that's why there is no logical justification why India should have 25% additional tariff. And when it defies logic, you know what happens. A lot of people are questioning why within the US, why India has been singled out. And let me put some data. And if you don't agree with my statement, please put a question in and I will answer those questions without any hesitation. So let me give you some hard facts. Who buys the maximum amount of coal? We are already talking about crude. I'm giving you hard facts for all the commodities. China is the largest importer of Russian crude oil, as you can see here. India is the second largest, but European Union is the third largest. China is the largest importer of coal from Russia, followed by India and Turkey. We don't hear anything about against China, against Turkey. Why they have not been charged a higher penalty? Why China and Turkey, EU? Why is that so? That's not. Who imposed the maximum LNG? From Russia. It is EU followed by China. India doesn't feature. It features on somewhere 6th. If you look at the pipeline gas, European Union followed by China and Turkey. But no impact on EU, no additional tariff on China, nothing on Turkey. Why? If that is not sufficient, look at the oil products. Who maximum buy products of Russian oil products? It's not India. It is Turkey followed by China, then Brazil and then India. So why India has been singled out? I can understand if India is on the topmost. And there is, okay, if you think, if you want to stop the flow which is going to the Russia, बाकी सबको भी तो कर लो आप. Why did you not put that? And the funny part, in our Gujarati there is a very famous कहवत के दाई सासरे ना जाए ना गांधी ने सिखा मना पे. That's I don't know how to translate that into English, but you look at the US. I can understand that US has stopped importing from Russia. Look at the data, 33% increase in exports from Russia to US. Are you not funding the Ukraine war? Then why are you buying from Russia? If US is so concerned about it, they should not buy a single product from Russia, but they are buying it. And they are buying more than what they were buying in 2024. I've given comparison on 2024, January versus January 2025, Feb 2024 versus Feb 2025, March versus March, April versus April. And you can see, except in the month of January, every month it is going up. This really crazy thing. This is really crazy thing, 33%. This one. Are you not funding the Ukraine war? And that's why I want Mr. Trump to listen to this webinar and tell me logically on what basis this 25% additional tariff has been imposed on India. Data hai, and this data I have taken from US Census Bureau. It's not my data. The data which is available on the official channel of the US government. It is not the data which has been cooked by BJP. It is not the data which has been cooked by any Indian, this one. This is not the data someone else has cooked up, even the Russian authority. This is the US own data that I am presenting in front of you people. And then say, India is buying. Baba, India is buying less. Let's look at the data now. And that's why I always believe data should speak for itself. Now look at what India. We saw 33% increase by US imports from Russia. What India did? India's imports from Russia in this first 6 months of 2025 has come down by 10%. But yet, you want to put additional 25% on India? How does it make sense? That's why I say this is not Ukraine that Trump is talking about. It's something else. And I must tell you, there was a news article yesterday that Trump called up 4 times to Mr. Modi. Modi refused to pick up the call. Why should he? Because tomorrow you pick up a call and then you said, I stop India versus Pakistan, the war. He can then make any allegations once you receive the call. जब आपने phone बात ही नहीं किया, then you cannot basically cook up story. Because this gentleman keeps changing his opinion as you and me will keep changing our shirts and trousers. Once he complained that Jerome Powell is a useless guy, the moment he talks about that he will do rate cut, he said he's a great guy. Once he said he will fire Intel CEO, and then the same guy basically goes and takes 10% stake in the Intel, says he's a brilliant guy. This is how you keep changing your opinion about someone. So my worry is very simple. And I'm little at pain, that somehow Indian media also playing in the hands of the so-called anti-India, this one. There's so much negativeness. Ye ho jayega, wo ho jayega. Does anyone knows what will actually happen? Unfortunately, we all love reading negative stories. And that's exactly what media has been doing. They are pumping in negative story. Ye ho jayega, wo ho jayega, India ka ye factory band ho gaya. So many people are unemployed, so on and so forth. And I think we need some very strong person in the US to throw this data on the Trump's face and say, please explain your rationale for 25% additional tariff on India. These are the data all available in the public domain. These are not a single data, and these are all data are sourced not from India, except this data of India importing from Russia. All other data are been either sourced from the reliable source, either it's a US official data or some other data available in the public domain. Even this has been taken CRE. It's a very reliable authority to this one. Now the big question comes. We have all heard about frog story, am I right? मेढक होता है, मेढक को गर्म पानी में बॉइलिंग वाटर डाल देगा ना, सीधा बाहर उछल के आ जाएगा. But the same मेढक, the frog, when you keep in a water and you start boiling at a slow, this one, the temperature will slowly increase. the Medak will not jump out. He feel more comfortable. All thoda increase karega, he will feel comfortable. It will reach a stage where the Medak, the frog is not comfortable, but at the same time he can't jump out also now because he doesn't have an energy to jump out. Something is happening with the US investors. And I'll explain you with the data point. My job is to present data, interpret the data with the best of my ability, and then you can say you agree or don't agree with this. If you look at the data now, and you will get surprised and shocked. Why am I saying so? The US market is in danger zone. See, one thing, that Mr. Trump is living in a fool's paradise. And this other gentleman, something similar behave, was a Turkey president. The remedy for high inflation was low rate of interest. And we all know what happened to the Turkey lira and what happens to the inflation and so on and so forth. Mr. Trump believes the higher tariff is not going to result in inflation. And he's living in a fool's paradise. Because inflation बढ़ने वाला है, whether you like it or not. When the inflation goes up, your consumption goes down, and when your consumption goes down, the GDP suffers. Now that effect of inflation is not started still reflecting, because lot of things has been imported in advance in anticipation of a higher tariff. तो जो होने वाला था वो हुआ नहीं, अभी तो हो गया है. So till now you imported something in advance by the US people, by the US retailer and manufacturer. That inventory one day will get over. The new inventory has to replace. That new inventory will come with the higher cost. Then what will you do? Will they take it up in the books? Answer is definitely no. Why would they take it up? They will pass on. And once they pass on, they will feel the pinch. But I can tell you right now also, there are many people from the US who have started feeling the pinch of this in tariff. If you have any relatives, your friends, your kids in the US, please ask them how much their monthly budget has gone up because of tariff. And this is going to further aggravate it. Now let me come back to the US market now. If you look at the US market, the last 2 years, and this question was asked to me by one of our PMS investors in yesterday webinar. And he said, Sunil Saab, you always used to say that Indian equity market should do well in dollar terms as compared to the US market. And he was right. His observation was absolutely dot on. And I don't know whether this gentleman is attending this webinar also, but his observation is absolutely right. And that is fact that I have been proved wrong. If you look at this US market, it did extremely well as compared to the Indian market in dollar terms. Why? Because Nifty 50 in dollar terms in last 2 years has given 19.1% versus Dow Jones is up by 31%. S&P 500 in last 2 years in dollar terms, that is BSE 500, sorry, has last 2 years gone up by 24% in dollar terms. Against S&P 500 has gone up by 44%, 45%. And of course the Nasdaq is in a different league altogether, up by 54%. If I have to put it in rupee terms, then BSE Nifty 50 is up by 26% and the BSE 500 is up by 32%. Still much lower than the S&P 500 and Dow Jones. Now I have been proved wrong because last 2 साल में the US market did well in terms of dollar terms as compared to the Indian market. But will it continue going forward? The answer is clearly no. And if you look at this, the huge delta between the US and the Indian market, purely because the last 1 year Indian market has gone nowhere, but the US market did extremely well. Okay, and that's why this delta looks very, very wide. And of course the US has been more because of AI and so on and so forth that really fueled the rally in the Nasdaq, in turn S&P 500 and so on and so forth. But And of course, this is whether it's a broad base or not. I have not gone to that much in detail, but if time permits, I will definitely go into more detail whether it's driven by Magnificent Seven or it's more driven by the broader market. But look at the data now. Since the US market did so well, this is a data I have taken from Yardeni Research. Okay, and what this data says is that the MSCI market cap is 72% is accounted by the US. This is data as of August 26. So day before yesterday का ये data है मेरे भाई. It is at 72%. The Europe has come down to 16.5 and the Japan is at 5.2. Okay. Now this 72% is the highest ever since 1995. I don't have a data before that, so it may be all-time high also. I don't know. So whenever you see this kind of a dominance by one particular country, probability is very high that country will either underperform or go down. And वो बोलते हैं law of average should come into mean reversions होना चाहिए. वो शायद mean reversions इसमें हो जाएगा. That's what I get a sense of this. But that's not the only reason. You look at this, the MSCI forward P of US versus all a country world except US. मतलब US total उस पर से US निकाल के बाकी सब country का. The price to earning of US as of 26 August, this is a 1 year forward, is 23 times. And then you look at the world is at 14.7. In other words, the gap between the US and the other rest of the world, the forward P is at much more premium, which has not been the case. If you look at it, this is the way. It's never been 800 bips difference. This makes me believe and strong conviction. Of course, I can go wrong. I'm not God actually. I have the strong conviction the US market is heading for a disaster. Why am I saying so? जो मैं फ्रॉक का बता रहा था ना, everyone right now thinks कि temperature बढ़ रहा है लेकिन is fine. You know, you are enjoying that warm temperature of a water. Eventually, it will become unbearable, and even if you wish to get out, you will not enough energy to get out. Why? So the same way investors, even if they wish to get out, they will not be because the price would have crashed substantially. So US is heading for a disaster in terms of high inflation, low consumption, low GDP, and the market which is at high. Today people are feeling much better because of the wealth has gone up. In the US, the investors' wealth has gone up substantially because equity market has done well. Am I right? And the debt which has gone up, they are not feeling the pinch because equity markets start doing well. If you remember what happened in China, the Evergrande issue happened, if you remember, that is in 2022 or something. In the China, people were feeling very happy because the price of real estate was going up. So उनका जो पैसा डाला था real estate में, that was giving the cushion कि वो पैसा तो है ना, I am not out of the money. And when the real estate market started crashing, the GDP growth of China also came down. जो चाइना में real estate साथ हुआ था, this is going to happen with US with the equity market. तो आपके दिमाग में अगर ख्याल भी है कि I should put more money in the US market, either through ETF, either through active mutual fund, be cautious. ये मेरा मंतव्य है. This is my opinion. I can go wrong. I would not like to put the money. Why? Because the data tells me right now खतरा बहुत ज़्यादा है. Unless you are खतरों के खिलाड़ी and you want to say, okay, come what may, I'll put money, then it's your choice. I will not put right now money in the US market. And this is the data which suggests so. And this statement I am not making because what Trump did to India. No. This statement is not out of emotions. This statement is purely based out of data and my reading of the US market. Many times people do ask me, what is your view on the US market? And I keep saying I'm not an expert on the US market, if I remember that. But today I'm making a statement because I did some analysis on that. And based on that analysis, I've come to the conclusion that US market is heading for a disaster. June quarter numbers are over. The season is over. And it's all the more reason we should look at it what's been stored in. If you go back to one of my webinars, I mentioned that Nifty 50 consensus on the market that Y-on-Y growth of Nifty 50 would be negative 4.4%. रियलिटी क्या हुआ? 8.3% ग्रोथ हुआ. निफ्टी 50 का बता रहा हूँ मैं आपको. अभी कोई बोलेगा भाई रिलायंस में तो एशियन पेंट्स का सेल किया था, उससे प्रॉफिट हुआ था. If I remove that, it is 4.9% growth. So on one hand, the expectation was negative. On the other hand, the growth is positive. But market did not react. Normally इस केस में मार्केट बहुत ज़्यादा ऊपर आ जाता है. But somewhere हर एक के दिमाग में ये है कि नंबर्स बहुत ख़राब है इंडिया इनके जून क्वार्टर्स के. And again I'll prove wrong with the data point. We need to all, and today we know that what GDP of India has come up. Am I right? 7.8% first quarter GDP. No one had predicted, and it came out. So according to me, the numbers of India Inc. is really brilliant. अभी किसी का ध्यान नहीं गया because हम लोग सब ज़्यादा फोकस करें टैरिफ. And this is what happens in the market. When your sentiments are negative, you will more focus on the negative news than the positive news. And when the sentiments are good, you will focus more on the positive news than the negative news. तो यूएस में अभी उल्टा चल रहा है. यूएस में नेगेटिव न्यूज़ पे कोई ध्यान नहीं दे रहा बिकॉज सबको लग रहा है मार्केट में पैसा और बना है. दैट फोमो इफेक्ट इज प्लेइंग आउट. फियर ऑफ मिसिंग आउट. And then very soon दूसरा होगा. And what is that? FUGK, fear of getting killed. Am I right? So ये होने वाला है US में very soon. So they will graduate from FOMO to FOGK. Okay? Fear of getting killed. Don't get my short form wrongly. If you look at overall India Inc., 9.9% growth in net profit, which is almost double digit. What surprised me is that consumption. Look at the profit growth, 15.1%. The profit margin expansion, 71.1 bips. If you look at the operating profit, 10.1. If you look at the operating profit margin, this somewhere consumption is making a very, very strong comeback. But हमारा ध्यान अभी भी negative news पे है. Now what does this, the consumption story talks about? Consumption story talks about more the consumption, more the demand for goods and services. When there is a more demand for goods and services, there is a more demand for the capital expenditure and the employment. And when there is a more demand for capital expenditure and employment, it will further grow the consumption. Am I right? And it creates a virtuous cycle. Again, these are hard numbers in front of you. Am I right? Let's look at this. How are the leading sectors in terms of net profit have performed? Banks net profit grew by 0.6, IT software by 6.8. But if you look at it, each and every sector has gone in the green. Cement has been a very, very good number, 61.5. And I don't think I made a statement with you people, but I did say this 15 days back to our PMS customer. See, GST का benefit cement company को होने वाला है. Why? Because GST on cement is at 28%. So वो कम होगा. Number one. Number two, the monsoon has been really good. So 35 to 40% of the cement consumption comes from the rural growth. So that's going to boost the demand for this one. Capex this time from the government side is on a full speed, and they will do more heavy lifting because private capex हो नहीं रहा है. That will further fuel demand for the cement. So last year से इस बार तो 7 to 8% growth is expected in the volume for the cement players in FY 2026. And my sense is that there will be price appreciation also. So जब price appreciation होता है plus volume growth होता है, सोने पे सुहागा होता है. And with GST reduction, I think that sector is heading for a very good time going ahead. But except retailing, I think everyone has seen growth in the net profit Y on Y. If you bifurcate this into market caps, mid cap has gone up by 21% growth. 21% growth is no small mean. It's a great achievement. Am I right? The large cap has grown at 9.1%, and the small cap has been one of the poorest performer in June quarter at 2.9. Let me just put a caveat here. This large cap, mid cap and small cap we have defined as for the AMFI definition. So what is the definition of AMFI? 1 to 100 companies are large cap, 101 to 250 companies are mid cap, and beyond 250 all are small cap. That includes micro cap also. So you look at mid cap did extremely well of 21% and large cap almost in the double digit. While India Inc did well, when I look at this, markets are still not cheap. Even though in last 1 year, we have gone nowhere. In fact, markets gave negative returns. Am I right? In last 1 year. But yet, we are still commanding a very rich valuation. Why is the reason we are commanding a rich valuation? Because lot of IPOs are kept coming in, and that's increasing the market cap. That's the reason. So we are still at 25.62 times as of today in terms of India Inc. market cap. Price to earning. But when you look at the market cap to GDP, it has been little moderated. We were close to 150. We are at 124 times, 124%. Sorry. So which is basically gives some kind of a comfort level. When you look at the market cap, half of the market now, you can look at glass half full or a glass half empty. The half of the market is trading above 30. That means the half of the market is trading at less than 30 in terms of the market cap. And one of the sweet spot has been the between 20 to 25. If you look at it, is almost about 40% or so are trading less than 25. So this is where the opportunity for money. So you can either look at half glass half empty or half glass full. Market cap wise valuation, if you look at it, the large cap trailing 12 months is 22 times, mid cap is 32 times, the small cap at 39 times. In other words, the large caps are cheaper as compared to mid and small cap. Now the law says that one which grows the fastest should command. So I think the net profit of growth, if you look at it, of the small mid cap has grown at 21 times, but small cap is only 2.9 times. To justify this valuation for the small cap, I think they need to grow much faster, and I think that's where the challenge. But the large and mid cap space looks to be quite okay in terms of the valuations. Okay. Monsoon has been good. Third year in a row, India has received a very good monsoon, and I think that's why I strongly believe the consumption basket that we are talking about is going to see a very, very good. Number one. Number two, it will keep the food inflation under check, and that's another good thing for India. Kharif crop sowing till now has been 3.4% as compared to last year same time. Now remember, last year was the good monsoon. वो अच्छे नंबर पे अच्छा 3.4%. The only area of concern is oilseeds, jute and mestra, and the cotton. Of course, India has allowed cotton duty-free till 31st December. Market has been down this week probably because of tariff. The Nifty FMCG made a strong comeback, is up by 0.7%. So while the whole market was down, Nifty FMCG was up by 0.7%. If you remember, and I did say that while the first half of FMCG index is not so great, they should basically make up in the second half. And I think that journey has started now. YTD returns, Nifty Auto is on the top. We did not see Nifty Auto even in top 3, if you remember that, in the first half of 2025. purely because of GST reduction, consumption basket, so on and so forth, is making a very this one. Nifty Finance is number 2. Consumption has made a strong comeback, 6.07, and Bank Nifty at 5.51. They were very close to 10%, and in fact, it's even double digits. There is some amount of profit booking has taken place in this one. FPI, they continue to remain a net seller. I was expecting FPI to turn positive, but nahi, 29,000 crore they sold almost in the month of August, and YTD, that is in 2025, the net outflow has been 1.24 lakh crore. Do I change my prediction about FPI putting in 50,000 to 1 lakh crore in 2025? I continue to maintain that FPI will come strongly. It's just a matter of time. But having said that, there are some companies where FPI has increased the stake. These are not a recommendation to buy. Please, please, please. I'm just giving you this information from you. Vishal Mega Mart so change in the FI holding as compared to March, 5.82%. IndusInd Bank 4%. FSN e-commerce nothing but the Nykaa 2.8%. Swiggy 2.46%. Interglobe Aviation 2.9%. Indraprastha the Guest 2.15%, and so on and so forth. So these are the sector companies where FPI, even though they are overall sellers in the market, they chose to invest in this company in June quarter. Now, what should investors do? Should we keep worrying about 25% tariff from US and hence reduce allocation from the equity, or think little differently? The values in the markets are not cheap, as I showed the data. 26 times trailing 12 months price to earning of India Inc. And when you further bifurcate, mid and small are much better space as compared to the small caps. So I think my choice would be to remain stock specific. Some companies will do well, some companies will not do well. We don't expect a very broad-based rally in the near future. Okay? But having said that, I must tell you one thing. This 25% additional tariff is not a permanent one. It can go tomorrow, it can go out in next 1 week, next 1 month, and so on and so forth. Double dhamaka hone wala hai. And why am I saying so, double dhamaka? GST reform is anyway going to implement it. 3rd and 4th September ko meeting hai. Before Navratri, we should expect the revised GST. Of course, there are a lot of things needs to be ensured that there is not inverted structure in terms of GST. If someone has a credit, how do they basically get compensation and so on and so forth. वो हो जाएगा. Now, अभी तो market का sentiment is down because of 25% tariff. GST is a very positive. It's still not been because वो push करा negative, ज़्यादा push करा market को. The moment this 25% tariff का कुछ positive news आएगा ना, and GST refunds anyway is going to happen, this double dhabaka will take this market up. And remember, you may not get a chance to get at the lower level. So what is my advice to all of you? Time is to increase allocation to the equity rather than shying away from the market. Don't be on the edge. No, market और गिरेगा, let me buy little later. वो कौन सा टाइमिंग में करना है, it's extremely difficult. I do understand gold did extremely well. In last few days also, gold did extremely well. But this is not the time to increase the allocation to the gold. If at all your allocation to the gold has gone up because of by virtue of price appreciation, please trim that where gold ka valuation go into the equity now. I am making a prediction. By Diwali, which is in the month of October, mood of the market would be much better than what it is now. And since US is heading for more trouble, the FPI money which is there in the developed economy will eventually come to the country like India. India's growth story is in tech. Today's that Q1 GDP growth of 7.8% reconfirms that India is on a strong footing. Those who have been predicting that India will grow at less than 6% in FY 2026, I think they will need to do revision of their GDP growth. So my message to every one of you, be brave and increase allocation to the equity. With this, thanks for patience listening. Let's open the floor for question answer. Basir, over to you. Pandalan Ghat sir is saying, on account of tariff-related impasse in the US and India relationship, market sentiment in many sectors like textile, engineering goods are low. Is it a good time to some bottom fishing? Okay, my underlying assumption is that, sir, this 25% additional tariff is not going to be there. Whether it gets removed tomorrow, after 1 month, 3 months, kuch to hoga. Remember, Mr. Trump and Modi are meeting in the month of September. September, Monday se chalu ho raha hai. They are meeting in the last week of. So something will happen. Either before their meeting, during their meeting, or after their meeting. Now, it may not be a bad idea to do bottom fishing, provided you go for those companies whose fundamentals are good, whose valuations have corrected very significantly. And that's the way you should look at it. So yes, you can do bottom fishing, but selectively. Suhas sir is saying, according to you, what could be the trigger for FIs to put money in India? Do you feel that dollar will eventually depreciate and FI money once again will flow to India? To Suhas sir, if you look at what is depreciation of rupee in 2025, despite this tariff challenge and 25% additional tariff and so, we are down by what, 2.3%? In the month of August, when the 25% additional tariff has come in, the month to date, rupee is not depreciated by more, it's 0.09 or 0.1 kind of a stuff. One of the lowest in the last 4 months, depreciation. So, I'm not too much worried about the FPA, the rupee dollar equation. Now your question is that what would trigger FII to come back to India? Purely because of India's growth story. Which country in the world, the size of India, has grown at 7.8% in the first quarter? That is April to June quarter. This despite so much adversary and despite, you remember, India also had to go through the India-Pakistan mini war like a situation. कौन सी country में किया है? See, and second thing, as a fund manager, their job is to lock in profits and go to the market which has not performed well. India has always been an outlier in terms of performance. But in 2025, India is on the bottom of the performance. Indian market has gone up by only 3% or so, YTD. Other markets have been extremely well. वो जो rotation बोलते हैं ना, that is the reason why FPI will come back to India. Because valuations are reasonably good. Growth story is very much in intact. Government stimulus package of 1 lakh crore through direct tax, almost 1 lakh crore through GST. Earnings growth, which was almost 4-5% in FY 2025, is making now 9.9% the first quarter. Every estimates, if you look at it in Bloomberg, talks about FY 2026 growth in earnings in double digit. So that makes very, very strong case for the FPI to make a comeback. वो कब आएगा? That's why I made a statement that despite heavy selling in first 8 months of calendar year 2025, I still expect FPI to be net positive इन 2025. सो नेक्स्ट 4 महीने में कब आएंगे मुझे नहीं मालूम, लेकिन आएंगे डेफिनेटली. और जब भी आएंगे बड़ा तगड़ा पैसा लेके आएंगे. Rajkumar, we all wait for you eagerly. Kindly appear before us at least once in a month during market tables. I would request you to continue with both versions of MarketsMojo. Sir, I don't know what do you mean by both versions of MarketsMojo, but definitely sir, once in a month तो sir मैं आता ही हूँ sir. I can't recollect a single month since we started webinar that I have not appeared at least once. Normally I try to be in front of you once every week, which did not happen last week. उसके पहले था. Today I am there in front of you, Rajkumar sir. Again I am there in front of you on Monday with my equity outlook. Why? Because the first of the month. So normally I am at least there once in a month. But I am try to be there at least once in a week also. So I'll be in your, and during market turbulence sir, it's all the more reason I should be in front of you to guide you, to remove your worry, not to panic, not to get carried away by the emotions. जब मार्केट टर्बुलेंस होता है ना, बिजनेस चैनल देखना बंद कर दो. आपको पैनिक क्रिएट कराएगा. That's the best thing you should do that. And if you can do that, आप मुझे अभी नहीं करोगे प्लेस, 2 साल के बाद मुझे प्लेस करोगे आप मुझे कि बहुत अच्छा डिसीजन लिया मैंने. आई एम नॉट अगेंस्ट अगेन एनी बिजनेस चैनल. आई ऑल्सो अपीयर इन बिजनेस चैनल. But during turbulent time, I think they basically make you more nervous. And it's not their fault, because the people, those so-called experts will come and they will create more fear in your mind. And that's what happens. And हमारा mind भी क्या होता है, when our thought process are negative, we like listening to more negative thoughts only. Because it matches with our view. आप समझे? और फिर हमको भी लगता है यही बराबर है, ठीक है. And then it reinforces in your mind. That's the thing. But I'll be in front of you. And I said, I don't know what do you mean by in both the versions of MarketsMojo. सर मैं वो नहीं समझ पा रहा हूँ आपका सवाल. प्लीज़ रिपीट. बसिल जब उनका क्लैरिफिकेशन तो मुझे बताना क्या कहना चाहते थे वो. सॉरी,
एक और क्वेश्चन है उनका.
हाँ तो ले लीजिए.
उनका ही.
हाँ. The simple reason for additional tariff is Operation Sindoor, where American nuclear assets in Pakistan have been targeted. America and Pakistan have not yet removed from that. No other country has done that. Okay, these are all guesswork. Maybe right, maybe wrong. We need to wait and watch. See, एक चीज होता है, you know. Everything has to be, see, everyone has to behave like a statesmanship, am I right? समझ लो कि आप जो कह रहे हो सही भी है. There are ways to resolve this. By doing this, you are punishing your own citizens of your country, because they will eventually they need to pay higher prices, whether we like it or not. तो आप किसको पनिश कर रहे हो? अपने खुद आदमी को. बाय ऑपरेशन सिंदूर करके अगर हमने किया है, you think they are punishing India, but the more damage will happen to the more US consumers. And because of that, एक साल में GDP ग्रोथ जो US का होगा वो आपको दिखना पड़ेगा. Yeah. Rahul Kumar sir, if tariff continues to remain 50% for next 6 months, it will impact overall economy, and not just the exempt companies, but domestic companies will also feel the hit, and the market indices can correct by 20%. Everyone on news channel and media is sure that this will get reversed, but do not know when. राहुल सर, एक फ्रेंडली बेट लगाते हैं 100 रुपये का, सो दैट 6 महीने में मार्केट 20% नीचे जाता है कि मार्केट इस लेवल से ऊपर जाता है. आई डोंट नो वेयर यू आर फ्रॉम राहुल कुमार सर. आई एम फ्रॉम बॉम्बे. 100 रुपये का अपना बेट लगा है. जीपे से हम लोग पेमेंट कर देंगे एक दूसरे को. जो जीता, आज अगस्त ख़त्म होने वाला है, सितंबर चालू होने वाला है, तो 6 महीना होगा. आई थिंक मोस्ट प्रोबेबली जनवरी में, मेरे ख्याल से सितंबर, अक्टूबर, नवंबर, दिसंबर, जनवरी, तो जनवरी और सॉरी फरवरी, तो फरवरी में खत्म होगा, तो हम लोग फरवरी को एक्सचेंज करेंगे अगर आपकी बात सही निकली कि नहीं निकली। मैं इसीलिए कहता हूँ ये मार्केट में पैसा लगाना है 6 महीने तक। फर्स्ट तो ये एजम्पशन है कि 50% फॉर 6 months, इट्स आउट ऑफ दिस। एज्यूम दैट हैपन्स, India's GDP will come down by 50-60 bips. It's not that it's not. But remember, this government will do all the necessary things to ensure that, अगर आपने मोदी का स्पीच सुना होगा 15 अगस्त को, तो ध्यान से सुनना उसको वापस। उनकी जो बिहार में स्पीच हुई थी अभी, उसको ध्यान से सुन लीजिए आप। They will not leave a single stone unturned to see that we minimize the damage to the economy. And GST is not the only thing that government is working on. They will do some kind of a more stimulus to ensure that economy does well. And hence, I do not expect the broader indices to go down by 20%. अगर मैं हार गया, मैं आपको डेफिनेटली 100 रुपया भिजवा दूंगा। अगर आप जीत गए और आपने 100 रुपया नहीं भी भिजवाया मुझे, इट इज़ फाइन विथ मी। बट ये बात ऑफिशियल इस चैनल पे है तय कि मैं आपसे ये 100 रुपये की फ्रेंडली बेट लगा रहा हूँ। भाई मुझे याद दिला देना अगर मैं हार गया तो। सागर सर, हैप्पी गणेश चतुर्थी सर, हैप्पी गणेश चतुर्थी टू यू टू एंड एवरीवन who was attending the webinar. The amount of price selling is increasing day by day. US market hitting all-time high on every week. India-US tension increasing as well. And for Indian perspective, the Indian government putting reforms by GST cut. Today GDP numbers are excellent. Inflation has come down. And then why earning is not picking up? And do you feel that this quarter we may see upswing in market with good earnings? Or still time left for due to this tariff issue? Will our GDP come down? Or according to you, exporter will find other market? But it may take 6 or 8 months to short-term pain still there left. Please advise. बहुत बड़ा सवाल पूछा सागर सर। ऑल्सो विथ USA नाउ रिलेशंस नॉट गुड एंड कमिंग क्लोज टू चाइना इज़ अ गुड मूव फॉर इकोनॉमी एंड इंडियन मार्केट एज चाइना कंसिडर्ड एज अ कॉम्पिटिटर। तो सर आपने बहुत सारे सवाल एक साथ पूछ लिए हैं मुझे। लेट मी ट्राई टू आंसर। ये सवाल रहने देना है भाई, बिकॉज आई माइट मिस आउट समथिंग। ओके, तो उसको रहने देना ये सवाल को। तो यस, US मार्केट इज गोइंग अप, इंडियन मार्केट इज नॉट डूइंग वेल, FPI सेलिंग इज गोइंग टू चेंज एंड टर्न। बाय दिवाली मुझे लग रहा है सर सेंटीमेंट बहुत अलग होगा हिंदुस्तान के मार्केट का। कि राहुल कुमार जी ने मुझे कहा था कि 20% मार्केट इसी जाएगा 6 महीने में, कुछ लगता नहीं है मुझे। ओके, सो एंड यस यू आर राइट, इट्स नॉट इजी टू रिप्लेस US। जो हिंदुस्तान का जो एक्सपोर्ट US में जा रहा था, दूसरी कंट्री में जाना बहुत ईजी नहीं है। कहना बहुत ईजी है कि बहुत हो जाएगा, लेकिन करना बहुत डिफिकल्ट होता है। Because you need to develop the market, you need to nurture the market, you need to educate the buyer in that particular country and so on so on. तो वो उसको प्रोसेस है। इन प्रोसेस डजंट हैपन। ये कुछ लाइट नहीं है, स्विच ऑन स्विच ऑफ होगा तो हो जाएगा। इट विल टेक सम टाइम एंड यू आर राइट, इट मे टेक 6 or 8 months also to do that. My only thing is that the base assumption that I have right now that ये रहने नहीं वाला ज़्यादा 25% additional tariff. अगर रहता है तो विल फाइंड, एंड आई थिंक द इंडियन गवर्नमेंट सेंड अ वेरी राइट सिग्नल। वी विल जॉइन हैंड्स टू प्रोटेक्ट द इंटरेस्ट ऑफ द नेशनल इंटरेस्ट, वेदर इट्स चाइना, वेदर इट्स रशिया और समवन एल्स। वी ऑल नो व्हाट हैपेंड विद जापान ऑल्सो, एम आई राइट? जापान डेलीगेशन वाज सपोज्ड टू ट्रैवल, दे डिड नॉट ट्रैवल। एंड more country when they become anti-US, the more pressure will be on the US and not on the other countries to change their view. And I think it's better to basically join hands just to send the message loud and clear that we are not accept your bully anyway. If you try to bully us, we will not allow that to happen. And that's exactly what India is doing. ये बहुत सही मैसेज जा रहा है। और बाय नॉट एक्सेप्टिंग 4 times फोन कॉल फ्रॉम ट्रम्प, वो बोलते हैं चाटा मारने वाली बात है ना, वो किया है इंडिया ने US को, और बहुत सही किया हुआ है। बिकॉज ही वुड बेसिकली देन स्प्रेड एनी काइंड ऑफ लाई टू द वर्ल्ड सेइंग दैट दिस इज दैट। So I think it's a right thing. Don't worry too much about India causing up to the China. I think it's a strategic move, and sometimes you need to take a strategic move in the interest of the economy. Yeah. I know there are more questions being left, but we will take more questions. कितने बजे भाई? अभी तो 7:55 है और टाइम है अपना. Trump wants what Trump wants, and he can make stories to support what he wants. We are wasting them discussing his allegation. Vinay sir is saying. You are right, sir. What Trump wants. Or sometimes when your personal ego becomes so big, you don't think of a national interest. Why are we wasting time discussing his allegations? The reason we need to discuss Vinay sir, because our investors are getting carried away by that. Our leaders of this country are getting carried away by his allegations. तो कहीं ना कहीं तो किसी को काउंटर करना पड़ेगा ना, किसी ना किसी को तो बताना पड़ेगा फैक्ट्स और फिगर्स से. एंड दैट्स व्हाई वी नीड टू डिस्कस दिस विनय सर. बस ये वेबिनार को एक्सटेंड करेंगे हम लोग. हर्षद सर इज सेइंग इट इज probably an agenda of USA to break the advancement of India as they cannot digest India's progress. We should counteract MAGA by LMRS. Let's make India robust and self-reliant. I like your this one. Yeah, you are right, absolutely. I think it's a clear-cut strategy. How can we pull down India? What kind of this one? And there can be more allegations that come in, going by the nature. And the way the Navarro is a trade advisor to the US, making an allegation, it sounds a little foolish and little, egoistic kind of a statement. So I also agree with you, Arshad sir, that this is like some amount of jealousy is there, and that's basically making it this one. But the Trump doesn't know that we have a very strong government. They know what needs to be done to protect the India's interest, and I'm pretty sure this government will do what needs to be done. And we have seen that happening during COVID time, and we will see this again, this happening. So I'm pretty sure we will come out of this crisis, even if we can call it crisis, very successfully. Kanchan says inflation in US goes up, then bond yield in US goes up, then FI outflow will increase. So, when the inflation goes up, it's not good for the equity market. Am I right, Kanchan sir? And when it's not good for the Indian equity, for the equity market, that money will flow somewhere else. So today, that PCA data was supposed to announce. I don't know whether it's been announced or not, sir. But the core inflation is definitely going to be a little higher in the US, and that's where the things will go a little haywire. Virisal sir say, thank you for the wisdom words. Just an opinion, if you don't get slot for webinar, can you please publish or post on the social media so that our nerves are controlled on the very day itself of the stock market volatile movement? Oh, that's a very good suggestion, sir. I think I can do that. It's a very good suggestion, Vishal sir. Let me think, let me speak with my production team, my webinar team, how we can do that. But that's a very good suggestion. The only thing I don't know how, okay, maybe what we can do, we can email you that so that you are at least aware that we have done some post or some video clips on our social media. Maybe we can do that. That's a very good suggestion, Vishal sir. मुझे ये forward कर देना ये question, Basil. I'll just take it up with our production team. Suhas sir, namaste. Is it not possible for your companies to push our products in the US to other countries to avoid additional tariff? Sir, it is possible. It's not that it's not possible. Sir, इसमें time लगता है, efforts लगता है. और US भी बेवकूफ़ तो है नहीं. They will also put some condition on the country where कितना वहाँ पे हुआ है. तो ये सब चीज़ को थोड़ा तो टाइम लगेगा. Of course, and then you don't earn that. So वो करेंसी फिर आपको इतना नहीं मिलेगा because someone else will then logistic cost goes up because first we need to export from one year to some other countries. From there, again it will go to that port. You need to do some value addition there, and then again because ऐसा तो नहीं होगा कि आप यहाँ से import करके वही import वापस कुछ ना कुछ तो value addition करना पड़ेगा आपको before it basically say that made in so and so country kind of a stuff. So that challenge would be there. Indravadan sir, good evening. I am observing since October 2000 that whenever FPI withdraw investment in net terms, our stock market always crash. And even after heavy investment of Indian funds companies, what's the reason? Our Indian funds are not preventing our stock market. Thanks. So, क्या हो रहा है? Basically, somehow we all love. It's a very slang language. I'm saying gori chamari. So our investors. Daily they will not look at how much DI has bought it. They will look at how much FI has sold it. And that's basically shaped the sentiment. Our business channels will also give more importance of how much FPI has basically bought in and this one. Just for your kind information, sir. Since 2019, just pre-COVID, till July 2025, the market has gone up. Am I right? You'll be surprised to know that retail investors like you and me has put in more money in the Indian equity market as compared to FII. And that data is shown to our PMS customer yesterday. And I think I'm thinking of putting this in my social media also handle, so you should do that. So yes, it happens sometimes that it impacts the sentiment rather than anything. And market is all about sentiment. So हमको if tomorrow FPI start putting money, we also feel more confident. वो बोलते हैं ना घर की मुर्गी दाल बराबर. I am a vegetarian, but still I am using this मुहावरा just to drive home the point. क्यों हमारे पे क्या है बेसिकली बाहर वाला के बोलता है तो हमें बहुत सही लगता है. तो अगर वो पैसा डालता है that means India story is going tech. And that's what has happened. So you are right in that sense. It's a sentiment basically impacts the market. Halsat sir, for diagram, what is your suggestion about Hang Seng Bees? Can we please do a webinar on investing in foreign markets? Halsat sir, I am not an expert on them. See, I have put all my money in Indian equity market. If I told you to do diversification, do more diversification within the India only. Don't focus on one particular sector. Do diversify within the sector, within market cap, single stock exposure, and so on and so forth. I strongly believe Indian equity market will give strong returns. Why should I go outside India? The cost, impact costs are much higher in the outside India. There is a hassles on compliance and so on and so forth. I wouldn't. I have not put my single rupee. Let me put single paisa outside India. Okay? And I will not do it also. At least for next one decade. Uske baad things may change and I may think of it. Right now, I have not put a single. So that's, and I strongly reason because I believe the market should do well. Indian market should do well. Vinod Chopra sir say, I fail to understand that there is any economic experts next to Trump to advise him on the repercussion or increase in tariff on India, and how is US going back to affected by this as you explained. What do you see, sir? Vinas Kare Viprit Buddhi. Chopra sahab, I hope you understood this muhavra. So, like I was giving about Turkey, the Turkey president was so intelligent, he said, inflation is high, reduce the rate of interest. And then we all know what happened. And he learned the lessons. It's not that he did not learn the lesson. सीखेगा. वो बोलता है लातों के भूत कभी बातों से नहीं मानते हैं. तो जब तक ठोकर नहीं लगती वो समझेंगे नहीं. That's exactly what is going to happen with Trump also. In fact, I was discussing someone, I would not be surprised if Trump does not complete even 4 years of his presidency. Sandeep say good states given. Never I have seen the cool and calm Damania sir so agitated. Yes, every thin and transparent wrong see through the fig leaf Mr. Trump is using to levy high tariffs for India. So I'm not agitated. I'm only stating the facts, and when the narration, which is anti-India, it really hurts me as a true Indian actually. And sometimes we should not be part of that, false propaganda that's happening in the country. Very thin and transparent wrong see through a fig leaf Mr. Trump is using to levy. असल मैं ये नहीं समझ पाया सर आपका ये सवाल. संदीप सर प्लीज पार्डन मी बट आई हैव नॉट अंडरस्टूड दिस बट sometimes you need to also express your opinion very loud and clear, and that's what exactly I did, Sandeep sir, today, because I wanted to give you the hard facts and figures. आपको इसके पहले I don't know whether you are aware or not, but no one was aware that EU is importing, China is importing, Turkey is importing. Why they have not been penalized? Why India? And the worst part is that US has increased the imports from Russia, and India has reduced, and yet we have been penalized. आप बोलते हो ना, तो that's the reason I wanted to give you these hard facts, so that, and sometimes the hard facts has to be said in a manner it gets conveyed very loud and clear to the other people. Santrap sir, filling up various posts in the international company, low appellate tribunal on deputation basis. नहीं सर, I don't know this question. ये क्या है वसील? ये सवाल है, ऑब्जर्वेशन है, क्या है? प्लीज मूव ऑन. आई थिंक ये सवाल अधूरा लगता है आपका. Gautam, some sources states during Operation Sindoor against Pakistan, India's hurt and damaged US diplomacy in armament and fighter aircraft, causing difficulty for American armament industry to sell armament elsewhere. It has become personal ego for US President as India keep buying crude from Russia in spite of US warning. Yes, that is true and maybe true. We have to see what is good for us, am I right? We can't basically say, boss, it's a US, this one, we should not attack and we suffer the damage. Why should we do that? India has to protect its self-interest, and we should do it, we will do it, come what may. It's perfectly right. If someone's ego gets hurt, so be it. We are not here to massage someone's ego. Next question, please. Mithane sir saying, can you throw some lights on the future of dollar versus India? I'm not so much forex market expert, but I personally believe India, this I have been saying for last couple of years, that eventually India should appreciate, the Indian rupee should appreciate against the dollar. It has not happened, but someday it will happen, and I'm very pretty sure about it. And with what Trump is doing, it's all the more reason I'm convinced that it will happen. When it happens, I don't know, but it will happen. Kanchan sir, if US market goes down, FI's outflow increases? Not really, sir. I think, see, basically they would look for, ultimately everyone is a fund manager, am I right? And they need to create alpha. Otherwise their job is at stake, their bonus is at stake. So what they would do, they will search for a markets where they can create an alpha. So if the US market goes down, FPI will go to the market where they can generate alpha and they can make money. In fact, your question is very good. What I'll do, let me prove this with data. Basil, मुझे सवाल भेज देना. Maybe on Monday, if possible, if time permits, in my equity outlook, I will present some data. When US market went down, how much Indian market received an inflow in terms of FPI. So फिर वो आप convince हो जाओगे. Let me do that. On most well, I'll try to cover this in my Monday presentation only. So last three questions in the interest of the time. Can we expect FI can come a big way in case of US market faces disaster as expected by you? Absolutely yes, sir. Absolutely yes. Same thing was asked by other gentlemen. Yeah. Next question, please. Prasad sir, good evening. You have presented an excellent data on purchase made by different countries, including US from Russia. Please share your data with Ministry of External Affairs with a request to provide wide publicity so that common men will know the truth. देखो हमारा प्रॉब्लम यही है, हम लोग सब चाहते गवर्नमेंट करे. ये वेबिनार आपके पास भी है, ये यूट्यूब पे है, आप भी आपके सोशल मीडिया पे डालो ना. लेट इट एम्पलीफाई. इवेंचुअली इट विल गो टू द मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ दिस वन. यू शुड. दैट्स व्हाट आई एम सेइंग. हम लोग आम आदमी के पास बहुत ताकत है, हमें इस्तेमाल नहीं करना है. आई वुड रिक्वेस्ट एवरीवन दोज हु अटेंडिंग दिस वेबिनार, इसको आपका सोशल मीडिया पे इसको करो, प्रमोट करो. दीज आर हार्ड फैक्ट्स विच हैज बीन गिवन. Let US deny these facts. Eventually it will go to the external affairs and they will look this data and then see. Let them look at the face of Trump, then what he has to say. Last two questions please, very quickly. Is the Indian citizen ultimate beneficiary of Russian or importing or companies like Reliance? Your thoughts on this? सर दोनों बेनिफिशियर हैं. सी रशिया का जो है ना कैप है $60 पर बैरल एंड वी आर नॉट पेइंग डॉलर, वी आर नॉट पेइंग इन डॉलर, सॉरी. सो वी आर प्रिजर्विंग फॉरेक्स विच क्रिएट्स लेस प्रेशर ऑन डॉलर रुपी. उसका बेनिफिट सबको होता है, आपको होता है, मुझे होता है, सबको होता है. Number two, when you are buying the crude, it's not only the Reliance is buying, importing from what we call the Russia. Other OMCs are also refineries also buying from Russia. तो ये बेनिफिट रिलायंस को तो हो ही रहा है, लेकिन बाकी सबको भी हो रहा है. पर हमारा तकलीफ क्या है मालूम है? दूसरे को फायदा हो वो अच्छा नहीं, यानी सम कंपनी गेट्स बेनिफिट, वो अच्छा नहीं, हमको नहीं हो, हमको कम हो रहा है कि ज़्यादा वो नहीं चलेगा, लेकिन उसको नहीं होना चाहिए. And that's a human psychology. I'll give you one classical case which has been discussed. One guy got an increment, 20% increment he got, and he was so happy that the company gave me 20% increment. His happiness turned into a sorrow. Why? He came to know that my colleague got 25% appreciation increment. The guy who was happy with 20% increment was started feeling, अरे उसको 25%, मुझे 20% मिला यार, मैं तो दुखी हो गया. सो आई थिंक इज द होल वर्ल्ड, आई थिंक इट्स ऑल रिलेटिव. रिलायंस को बेनिफिट मिले या ना मिले क्या फ़र्क पता है? एज ए सिटीजन ऑफ दिस कंट्री, एम आई गेटिंग ए बेनिफिट ऑफ लो इम्पोर्ट फ्रॉम रशिया, लो क्रूड ऑयल प्राइस परचेज फ्रॉम रशिया? द आंसर इज यस, एंड आई शुड बी हैप्पी अबाउट इट. How come Indian government has been able to raise excise duty without pinching you and me and got more revenue? Because of this low import from, we forgot about that. But you remember the government of India increased excise on petrol and diesel to increase the revenue for themselves. But that was all possible because of low import, low purchase price from Russia. Last question, Basir. Rupesh sir, how am I able to dividend is reinvested and which company and number of shares are issued against dividend in PMS? It is very important for transparency and report. RM is not able to properly guide through report. Rupesh sir, we give you data annually also how much dividend you have received company wise. If Rupesh sir, if that your RM is not giving me, please write to me at sunil@mojopms.com. By Monday first thing in the morning, not the first thing, Monday you will get the report from our side. Company wise dividend of all the this one in your PMS. Don't worry sir. We'll share this data to you people because you need to file income tax returns also, am I right? So we do that data. Again I'll say this data, don't worry, it must be there in your inbox. But please write to me, Rupesh sir, sunil@mojopms.com, and I'll say the data to you. It's my personal responsibility. With this, thanks a lot everyone taking time out. I know I've extended my webinar, but क्या करें, सवाल ज़्यादा थे, time कम है, तो we need to now conclude here. Please, if I'm not able to take up your question today, please come and do join me on Monday. I'll try to pick up your question on Monday and try to give all answers to your query. Good night. Take care. Have a great weekend. Do not forget to visit various Ganesh pandals. We will thoroughly enjoy that. And once again, happy Ganeshotsav to everyone.